Good evening. Welcome to the April 14th, 2026 Select Board meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded on Foxboro Cable Access. We will do the pledge, and then we're going to go into executive session, and then returning at 7 o'clock. So we'll start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call vote for.
Make a motion to move into executive session to discuss deployment and funding security personnel or strategy to respect to security related to the Kraft Sports and Entertainment 2026 annual entertainment license for events proposed for Gillette Stadium 1 Patriot Place. Also to union negotiations and strategy discussion regarding a memorandum of agreement between the town of Foxborough and the Foxborough Department of Public Works Employee Union AFSCME Local 1702 Unit B Water and Sewer.
Second. Mark, yes.
Bill, yes.
Amy, yes.
Debbie, yes.
And Stephanie will not be joining us as she's away.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you at 7 o'clock. Good evening. Welcome back to the April 14th Select Board meeting. As we previously noted, this meeting will be broadcast live and recorded on Foxboro Cable Access. We just exited executive session, and we are a little behind, but we'll try to catch up. First item is under citizens' input. Do we have any?
I didn't sign up for it. I'd like to speak.
Okay. Is anybody else? So we have
to speak.
3. Okay. Why don't we start with you and
You're gonna do
come
time,
up,
3 minutes?
give us your name and address.
I stand there, right?
Or you can sit at the table, whichever you like.
Whatever you're more comfortable with.
Which,
We just need to be in front of a microphone.
yeah, just as long as you're in front of a mic, you're fine.
So I can say.
You can,
Yeah.
if you want to, yeah.
I'm not facing you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Do we do any time limit? Since we're running late, do you want to do 3 minutes for
we're
each?
trying to keep this to about 3 minutes if you can. Thank you.
Nancy Morrison, South Grove Street.
Yes, I'm Jean Bernier, South Grove Street as well.
We are representing South Grove Street. I've talked to. I've talked to the board.
Hold on a second.
Oh,
Got to go to the table, sorry.
Oh,
That
I
was
guess
not
that
Mic
mic's
isn't
not on,
working.
sorry.
Sorry about that.
why is that?
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
we can hear you.
Awesome.
Again, I'm Nancy Morrison, South Grove Street.
And I'm Jean Bernier, South Grove Street.
I've spoken to the board once before about the situation about no sidewalks on our street, and how in a 6-month period, we had some accidents, trees were hit, a pole is hit. Well, now it's escalated. I have a police report here. We had a person that was hit on the street with a baby carriage. She was physically hit, bruises all up and down the side of her body. So the issue is escalating on South Grove Street. We need sidewalks. And I've spoken before about it. It's becoming, like I said, the traffic, and with this World Cup coming, the traffic is only going to get worse. And now, you know, we have this issue with people getting hit, trees have been hit, and I'm afraid, and I'm trying to be proactive. I'm afraid we have young kids now that are growing up on the street, that are playing in their yards. I'm just afraid. I'm trying to be proactive. Again, I have a police report from that accident. Other issues, the 4 feet rule, people do not abide by that as they pass people that walk on the street. I'm afraid to walk on my own street because of this traffic issue, especially on commuting time. It's just one car after another. And the GPS, the Wave, brings trucks and tractor trailers down our street when there's traffic on 495 and 95. We have traffic from Rhode Island, Attleboro. Our street is a cut-through street to the casino, to Route 1, to the Normandy Farms, out the other side to Mansfield, to Shaw's, to Home Depot. It's a cut-through street wherever you want to go. And we have no sidewalks, and it's becoming extremely dangerous. there's also a stop sign at the end of our street that nobody stops at. So, again, this 4-foot rule, that you're supposed to walk around somebody, nobody abides by that. So I'm just getting very nervous that, it's escalating, and it could become a more serious issue. So we need to think about sidewalks on South Grove Street. Did you want to add?
Yes, and I'm a resident for about 9 years, and I share the concern of Nancy. As a father, waiting at the bus stop, I'm always concerned that something's going to happen to my children. And as a father, I should not have to worry about that living in this town, which we love. So anything that we can do to help get sidewalks, I'm sure you could ask any members of our street, we would happy to do that.
Again, this has been an issue for probably 50-plus years. And like I said, I've spoken in front of the board before about this. It's escalated, so we need to think about doing something. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it. Joe?
Actually, I'll let him go first, then I'll go. I'm not in any rush tonight.
We are, Joe.
I'll go, let him go, because I'm not in a rush.
Yeah.
Okay,
Be nice.
Everybody gets
you're
3
doing a great
minutes.
job.
That's it.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Michael Flynn. I live at 15 Granite Street. And so I'd like to hand you 7 packets. It's the town manager here. And I would like these to be in the permanent record.
Thank you. You want me to pass them on to the board?
Yes. I am here regarding the disposal of 75 Central Street. I am putting the board on formal notice that of 9/10 last night, I filed a formal complaint in Massachusetts State Ethics Commission Enforcement Division regarding this transaction. This complaint cites a potential violation of GLC 26(8)A, Section 23, specifically concerning the pre-baked nature of this RFP for sole bidder. The infrastructure trap. This board is moving to award a strategic town assets to Douglas A. King Builders under residential brew pub model that had fundamentally ignores the site's true value, market value. And last year, this town has accepted over $4 million in state and federal infrastructure support, including FEMA grant, Mass DOT complete streets fundings that directly benefit this parcel's utility as a defense tech node. To sell this land to a sole bidder at a residential valuation while taxpayers have funded it industrial upgrades is a failure of fiduciary duty. The smoking gun, the true value of the 75 Central Street lies in its position with the 02035 autonomous corridor. Independent investigation has mapped a direct corporate nexus between this local bid and the Powers Aurora Greenway Holdings, AGH, merger, a billion-dollar defense entity advised by General C.Q. Brown Jr. and General Keith Kellogg. This site is an intended geographic anchor for the counter-UAS monitoring hardware. If the board votes to finalize this deal today, you are not just building apartments, you are transferring control of a strategic security node to a private entity under a clouded procurement process. The legal demand. Because the state because the state ethics inquiry is now active and it involves the overlapping of the federal grants with private development, I am formally requesting that the board stay any vote on the 75 Central Street bid until the commission has rendered its findings. Proceeding today with full knowledge of these conflicts shifts this from municipal error to an international act. The Baron Sheave, I have provided the evidence of the powers nexus and the grant conflicts in your packets. My right to critique this land deal and these officials is protected under Massachusetts Declaration of Rights and the Barron versus Calenda decision. I look forward to your formal response on the record. And if you think this autonomous corridor is just a theory, look at 67 Green Street. In December, Energy Electric Company moved their headquarters there, a firm specializing in industrial IT and high-security electrical engineering. They are less than a mile from 75 Central. Why did a regional engineer giant relocate to Foxboro just as the $4 million infrastructure grants were being finalized? The specialized labor of this corridor is already here. This brew pub is a Trojan horse for the hardened defense node.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jane, you want a copy?
You can have mine.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe, come on up.
Good evening, Joe Garity, 77 N. Carlian and Court, Foxborough. Two issues I would like to bring up tonight. First of all, Cleanup Day Saturday. We had the excellent participation from this whole town and community. For anyone that participated in Cleanup Day, thank you for your time and effort. We had over 300, how many volunteers do you think, Deb, it was?
Over 3.
300? Most, do you think it was, or?
It's okay.
It's a good amount.
And we filled up about 400 bags of trash in this town. And then anyone thinking of dumping on East Belcher Road where I cleaned up, think twice before you dump anything, because we found some construction debris on the side of the road there. And then second thing, I know tonight on the agenda is the annual approval of the license for this Kraft Sports Entertainment Group. One issue I'd like to bring up with one of the events this year is the Navy versus Notre Dame game is on Halloween, and if this town will be considering moving trick-or-treating for Foxborough to Friday night like they did, October 30th, like they did in 2010, because in 2010 there was a home Patriots game on Halloween, and this year the Navy versus Notre Dame is playing on Halloween, depending on what time that game starts. If it's a 3 o'clock, this town should be looking at trick-or-treating to the night before.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Joe. You are a wealth of information.
Just wanted to point that out about trick-or-treating this year. You guys would agree about the safety, right?
Thank
Joe.
you.
Thank you.
Is that it? Anybody else? Okay. We can move on to strategic plan. Wouldn't you like to come up front?
You don't want that seat. That's that seat.
Walking down the middle. I wanted to avoid the police chief. Good evening,
Good
Board.
evening.
Good evening, Chair. I'm Cheryl Trent with Raft Tellis. With me tonight is Maddie Shea, also of Raft Tellis. We may look familiar. We've been working with you for some months now and have had a chance to talk to many of you about the strategic planning process. We wanted to come in front of you tonight and give a brief update and answer any questions that you might have. We intend to have this process continue throughout the remainder. We'd appreciate any thoughts or input you have. So we have a brief PowerPoint. Maddie's got control. We'll see how it works because theoretically she has to hand it over her shoulder and kind of, yeah, okay, perfect. So the first thing I'd like to do is say thank you to you all, your staff, and your community. This is our first time on site. We're here for 3 days, and the welcome has been just genuine and I think very indicative of the type of community you have here. Warm, inviting. Is there anything we can do to help you all out? And we feel very welcomed, and it's just a great feeling to come to a town like this and be able to work. So the process that we used to design your strategic plan was based on best practices and also based on a lot of conversation with your staff and your internal team about what might work best for your community. So we kicked this process off late last year and went through a several-month period of design and started with what's known as the National Community Survey, or the NCS. We've partnered with a company called Polco, and that survey just wrapped up a few days ago. It is a statistically significant survey, and you had a really great response. Maddie will talk a little bit about that in a moment. That gives us a nice, broad, community-wide, statistically significant range of data that we can use to help inform the conversations with your community, with you all, and your strategic plan at the end of the day. We're also currently in the middle of conducting individual interviews. They're conversations that either Maddie or I have that are one-on-one, and we're looking for some common themes there. We ask some very strategic planning questions, but we also get a chance to ask more. Well, tell me more about that. Why do you think that? Several of you have been a part of that process already, and I'm sure we'll get around to all of you before our time is done in the next month or so with that part of the process. We are also in the middle. We just finished 2 out of our 4 community listening sessions. We held 2 today. We have 2 tomorrow. And we're inviting specific groups of people, and we're also asking very similar questions around strategic planning to try to get some feedback there. Again, looking for commonalities or themes. And your staff has been incredibly helpful reaching out to a wide range of people in your community, demographically, age-wise, from different parts of the community, representing different interests in the community. We had a chance to talk to some younger individuals today, some 7th graders, and they were so much fun and so smart, so smart. So we should be done with this information gathering probably by the end of April, beginning part of May. What Maddie and I will then do is take the opportunity to sift through those thousands and thousands and thousands of comments and craft a strategic framework that's based on those common themes, what we've heard, what we think the community has told us is most important. And the reason I say what we think is this is a community-driven plan. It's not just community-informed, that's a piece of it, but this is a community-based plan. They are literally creating with their words what's going into the plan. And so the next big piece for us will be after the summer. There'll be contact points, smaller ones throughout the summer, but we understand how important the summer is to the community for them not to have to maybe come back for a Saturday meeting. We also understand that you have some people who don't necessarily live here full time. We'll figure out some ways to engage with them. And just some light touch points in June, July, August. And while we haven't yet picked a hard date, we'll be back in the September, October timeframe to do a community-wide open house. And if you haven't seen Maddie's skill set yet, this is where she will truly shine. She's a great facilitator, but she's also a graphic facilitator. So as we talk to the community about the strategic plan framework, what we also want to do is craft a community vision that's that's full of animation and detail and is engaging and really draws people in to have a conversation. Based on all of that information, then, we'll be able to come back to the community with a draft plan. That's the actual document. And then part of this will also be to have a conversation about implementation with Paige and her team, because no plan is good unless it's usable, unless it's a workable document, unless there's actionable items that you can take and measure those actionable items. So we have a slightly different look, I think, in our next slide. Oh, no, we're moving right on. I thought there was a slightly different look. But let me stop there really quick and see if you have any questions about the time frame or the general process that I laid out. Okay.
All right. So diving in a little bit more into the latest updates, the community survey that was conducted just closed, I think, on Friday, and we got a really good response rate. We don't have the full results yet. We're anticipating a full report with the results on May 7th, but in total, you received 542 responses, which is really good. The national average that Polco, the company who conducts the survey, normally sees is about a 13% response rate, and you all got about a 15% response rate, so higher than the national average. Same thing with the margin of error. They normally look for a margin of error from 4 to 6%. You got enough responses that they can guarantee a response or a margin of error of about 4.5%. So again, this is a statistically significant survey that will give you a really good baseline of where you are today, and you'll also be able to, when that report comes along, see where you compare to your peers across the country and across the state in some different focus areas. So that is a major component that was open for almost 2 months and received really good responses. And then just to reiterate what Cheryl said, is this week our big focus is some of this more qualitative data gathering. So again, we had 2 listening sessions this morning. We had one that was well attended. We had another one with some middle schoolers who were really enlightening about what they want to see in the future here in Foxboro. Tomorrow we've got 2 more sessions, one in the evening, so we're hoping that can capture kind of a wider audience of people who might not be able to attend during normal work hours. And then again, doing some of these one-on-one interviews with key community stakeholders and wanting to make sure that we're getting some really in-depth conversation that we may not be able to hear that level of information during the listening sessions. So lots of data gathering right now. Again, we'll be tying all of this up together in the next month or 2 to really synthesize what we've been hearing.
What I would say is there's still time to attend a listening session. Obviously, y'all are welcome to attend one, more, all of them. It is interesting information. But if anybody is currently listening at home or watching, you're still welcome to attend. And anybody that you would like to invite to attend to those. So everybody I'm not looking at behind me, you're all welcome to attend. And the more voices that we hear, the better the plan result is. So anything that anybody would like to contribute to that would be welcomed by us.
What time are the 2 sessions tomorrow?
I think noon and then one at 6 to 7 p.m. And they're both at the Foxboro Community Center.
Thank you.
So they take about an hour, and I think they're fun, of course. Of course I'd say that, but no, I think they're fun, and I think those of you that have a chance to attend them found them engaging and worth your time, so. Okay. I think this is you
Yeah.
too, right?
So this is a little bit of a summary of what we've talked about. Again, in the next month or so, we're going to be wrapping up some of this more qualitative data engagement. Over the summer, we'll slow things down a little bit, but there'll be some kind of intermittent engagement opportunities, and we're going to, in the background, be crafting that draft strategic framework, those draft big goal areas, the next level down of what potential strategies the town may want to focus on based on what we've heard. And then we'll come back in the fall and check that with you and check that with the community, say, is this on track? And really work on finalizing that strategic plan, and then be working with staff on how to translate that into implementation.
We'll have a table at Founder's Den.
Yes.
You do have several events throughout the summertime that make great little touch points that wouldn't take too much of people's time, so.
Great.
I think that's all we have for you, but any questions we can answer?
I attended today. It was enjoyable. I met new people. I had opportunity to speak or put my ideas out there. It's worth going to. It doesn't take any time. It doesn't hurt. And it is pleasant. You did a great job today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also attended, and same thing
Yeah.
Deb said. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great input from a lot of different people, and definitely worthwhile going to tomorrow if you get the opportunity.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that. We appreciate it. And if anybody in this room, anybody that has a chance to watch this meeting Anybody that you all deal with, you're welcome to also refer them directly to us. We'll help explain anything they might need explained. You have a great webpage going for your strategic plan that is going to have all of this information on it, as well as any documents that we get to upload. And thanks to your team, Maura and Katie, for making all of that happen, because that's a critical communication piece. So great job from your staff.
And you'll be coming to department head meeting tomorrow?
Yes, we will.
See you then. Great.
Very good.
All right,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much for your
Thank you very
time.
much.
We appreciate it.
Okay, obviously running late, but 7:25 public hearing, Kraft Sports and Entertainment Group, 2026 annual entertainment license.
Motion to open the public hearing as the Select Board acting as the local licensing authority pursuant to MGL Chapter 140, Section 181, and Section 183A, and Chapter 136, Section 4, Chapter 141 of the Acts of 2020, Code of the Town of Foxborough, Chapter 229, and also stadium rules and regulations, will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, beginning at 7:25 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Town Hall, 40 South Street, to review the application submitted by the Kraft Sports and Entertainment, LLC, for the 2026 annual entertainment license. All listed events in the application are proposed for Gillette Stadium, 1 Patriot Place. The application for this event is on file at the town manager's office.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Would you guys like to start with your side?
Sure. Good evening. As a reminder, I'm Gary Ronan from Golston and Stores. We have Jess Enos with me. I think it's very familiar to all of you. I've missed you all as much as I'm sure you have missed me, so it's good to see you again. I think what we'd like to do is Jess will first talk about the mechanics of the event, what we're proposing, and then I would like to address the form of the license. Because there's a proposal from the town to change in material ways the form of the license.
So if it works for you guys, I'll just jump into our data sheets and kind of walk you through what we think 2026 will look like at the stadium. So you've already approved the Boston Legacy matches that took place at the tail end of the previous license. So there will be 5 more remaining matches that'll take place. This is the first time that we've ever hosted, been the home venue for a female sports league. It's been exciting. They do have plans to move out, so it is temporary, but we will continue to be their home venue for the duration of the 2026 season. The Revs have had a similar attendance profile, anywhere between 7,500 and 2,500 attendees. We have 4 more Revs matches before they go into the FIFA break. I think the most important thing to flag for you guys is that the Revs Stadium in Everett is an ongoing discussion. We're closer to that building coming to fruition than we've been in my 20 years with the organization. The actual time that they would move in is still sort of in flux. I know I keep Marie in the loop as well as Paige, because it will be an important shift for the community if and when the Revs do make it out of Foxborough and into Everett Stadium. It's not confirmed, but it's definitely on the horizon and something that we all should be planning for. Next season, too, it's worth noting, and I did already flag this for Marie and Paige, the Rev season is going to look different. It's going to have a break like this, so we'll see a completely different shift. It'll impact the fiscal year a little differently as well, which is why I wanted to make sure everyone was in the loop. But we'll see that moving forward. We'll get that finalized. And again, that's not until 2027, but I just wanted to put that on your radars. So FIFA takes place. We all know about that. 7/31 is our first stadium event post-World Cup. It's Monster Jam, the 14th time I believe we've hosted the event. It'll be the reopening of the building. It'll be our shift back to, what we've typically had. We're excited to have them back. We're glad we were able to fit them in the schedule. On August 5th and 6th, we have BTS, which is noteworthy for a couple of different reasons. It's the first time that we have ever hosted a K-pop band at the building. So it's a genre of music that we have never seen before. It's an artist or a group we've never seen before. There's a tremendous amount of pent-up demand for them. They had to take, they're a Korean group, and they had to take mandatory military break. So they've been doing their service. They're coming back. And both of those dates The 5th and the 6th have sold out. That's a 360-degree show. So somewhere between like 68 to 72,000 people. So it's a significant event. Those are back-to-back. And we've advanced that show at MetLife, but there's a couple of opportunities too for stadium officials, public safety, to advance that show in other markets, just given the fact that it's something that we haven't seen before. We would certainly support that.
Just 6th and 7th or 7th and 8th?
BTS is the 5th and 6th. No?
5th and 6th.
So Tuesday and,
And Tuesday and Wednesday.
Wednesday and Thursday,
Sorry.
August, right? Okay, thank you.
That, I think that's one of our only weekday shows, which I know has been something that's on everybody's radar as far as impact to the community. The Savannah Bananas we're hosting on the August 28th and 29th. First time we've ever hosted that event. First time we've ever had baseball at Gillette Stadium. It's an exciting opportunity. The call out there, it's 64,000 fans both days. It's a very tight timeline for the performance itself, for the game itself. There is a fan festival component. It's a really young family crowd. But like I said, a relatively short event, not anything we've ever seen before. One thing that we're preparing for, and that will be an adjustment, is they don't use Ticketmaster. They actually have their own ticketing platform that they use, that they sell all of their tickets through. So we were able to offer Foxborough residents access in advance, which was great. They have a very strict business model in that their tickets are $20, $40, and $60. They're all sold on their own platform. There are no fees. There are no upcharges. So they will go, our dates, I believe, go on sale next week, or nope, our dates go on sale this week. We anticipate those being sold out. Again, it's a different event, so it'll present some unique opportunities for us. September 5th and September 6th is Bruno Mars, which is an exciting opportunity for us to forge a relationship with an artist that we have not had at the building yet. Demographically speaking, we know that he typically draws a very multi-generational crowd, not unlike a Coldplay show. Both of those shows are sold out already, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to host them for the first time in the building. On September 25th and 26th, we have 2 Ed Sheeran dates. The projected capacities on those are 40 and 55,000. We've had him at the building many times before. We have a strong partnership with his group. It's a relatively easy lift, and it's a nice breather for us to have him back in the building. Zach Bryan on October 2nd and 3rd. This will be the second time we've had him. The 2 events that we had previously were pleasantly incident-free. This is a 360-degree show as well, so we have the BTS show at the beginning of our concert run, and then we're capping it with Zach Bryan. Those are both 360-degree shows. And then on the 31st of October, Navy Notre Dame, we will get the start time to that sometime in May. What we've heard is that they do anticipate a most likely like a noon start time, or an earlier in the day start time, given the date that it is the holiday. But we won't know officially until we get that notice from, which we'll get sometime, I believe, in mid-May. So those are all of the events that we currently have. These are the events that we discussed and reviewed with the Stadium Advisory Committee. Happy to discuss any questions or if you guys would like any more detail around any of them. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yep.
All set?
So I'm sorry, Joe, let them do their presentation.
One thing they forgot to add, I wanted to add a date. It just got announced today, August 17th, Chris Brown Usher Tour. You forgot to announce that.
Yes, thank you. So that was announced today. The Stadium Advisory Committee didn't hear that data sheet because it was a late announcement, which is why it wasn't included in this. That would be subject to the same policies and procedures. That will come before the board. You would get the data sheet, all of the details, and then decide and then vote from there. Thank you, Joe, for keeping us honest.
I will only say on that one, that is one of the concerns the board has had, again, is finding out about things after the fact. Now, I believe you probably spoke to the chiefs before that was put out there. Mm-hmm. Okay, as a major concern.
Town manager and chiefs were made aware. That was a surprise by us. There were 2, and I know we had mentioned this at the Stadium Advisory Committee hearing last week. There were 2 hold dates that we thought would probably come to fruition that were still pending, and this was one of them, and they moved incredibly quickly. So it wasn't as much notice as we've been able to do, but there was advance notice.
Thank you. Anything else on yours? Anything else on your side?
No.
Okay. Any questions at all from the
No,
board?
from Jess. No.
Okay.
So,
Thank
so
you.
Want to do George before you do Gary?
whatever the chair prefers.
Sure. George, you want to come up?
Thank you. George Bell, 27 Shoreline Drive, Stadium Advisory Committee. We reviewed the application, and first off, I'd like to applaud the police, fire, building, as well as the health and the stadium for their dedication and incredible effort. This is a busy season. They've got over 32 events plus major events, and then on top of that, up to 74 events that require special activity. And I'd like to applaud them for their efforts to make sure that these are safe, well-coordinated events. And we feel very comfortable in conclusion of the review meeting that, and the Stadium Advisory Committee, based on the annual license application as reviewed and presented by the town public safety and stadium officials, and the strong oversight language in the license agreement, recommends that the Select Board approve the 2026 license application, subject to the conditions that the stadium management agree to provide the facilities, equipment, and funding of the expenditures necessary to implement the safety plans as required by town officials.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, George.
Okay, Gary?
Okay, so I'll talk about the form of the license. It's going to be hard for me to focus because I'm such a big BTS fan that I'm very excited for that one, but my kids like to make fun of me about that. Let me give you just and I think some of you, I'm sure, know this, but the history of the annual event license goes back to 2019. We spent about 6 months in 2019, actually starting in 2018, negotiating the form of that document in order to make sure it satisfied the town's requirements as well as KSE's requirements. And that was an effort that I was personally involved in. It was Bill Keegan as town manager, and at that time, town council Pat Costello, who were the principal negotiators for the town. And we spent a lot of time and effort to come to language that worked for everyone. What we've had here is a week ago today, we got a draft that we saw for the first time of a materially changed license. So the license has been, by and large, the same language for the last 6 or 7 years. Small modifications each year, but nothing significant. The new version that has been presented to the board this year is materially changed. It's about 16 pages long, not including the attachments. The prior version is about 7 pages. So just to give you a sense for how much difference there is. And there's a lot of really different language. And one of the concerns that raises for us is we have not had an opportunity to engage with the town to talk about why. What's the reason for those changes? Help us understand what you're trying to accomplish. A lot of the changes have to do with funding mechanism, but not all of them. We had some folks reach out, including Jess and Dan Murphy, reach out to folks at the town to try to engage in a dialogue over the last week so we could understand where these changes were coming from, and we hoped engage in a dialogue about them, and if there are needs for changes, to do them in a smart way that works for everyone. And we just haven't been able to get that together in the last week. So I think we're all in agreement that there should be a license, it should be appropriately conditioned, but our view is sort of starts from a place of, well, if it's not broke, what are we trying to fix? And we haven't heard any explanation yet for why this magnitude of changes is required. We're happy to have that dialogue, but we don't think it should happen under sort of the time pressure of, well, we need to decide what this new language is today, when we spent 6 months to negotiate the document, and now we're asked to, within a few days, agree to wholesale changes. So our view is the best thing to do here would be for you to allow a license based upon the prior form, which has been sufficient and been working well for 6 or 7 years now, for this year. And then over the next year, or it doesn't have to be a year, but over the coming months, we can have a dialogue between the Kraft organization and the town to talk about what changes are needed and the reasons for them, and come to an agreement about what changes should be made. We think that is the better way to handle this. That's the way good partners should operate with each other, and we certainly want to be good partners with the town. And so that's our ask, that the license this year be issued on the existing form rather than the newly proposed form that we've just seen. And we think, we haven't heard certainly any explanation for why these changes have to be made now and can't be implemented in a year if they're necessary. If the board is uncomfortable for some reason waiting a year, our sort of backup suggestion would be issue a shorter duration license for now, maybe not a whole year, maybe 4 months, 3 months, 2 months to cover events in the next few months. And that gives us the time that we need to have these discussions and negotiations, which haven't been able to happen over the last week, so that we make sure we're dealing with each other with mutual respect and coming to language that meets the town's needs, and also makes sense from the Kraft organization's perspective, and that we understand the town's concerns, which frankly we haven't had an explanation for yet as to why these changes might be necessary.
Since you received that notice, have you had any conversations with our attorney at all relative to it?
Personally, I have not, no. What we did is we had, as I mentioned, Ms. Enos and Mr. Murphy have tried to reach out to folks of the town to talk about them, and those conversations didn't happen.
Well, I mean, obviously it came from our attorney, and yes, Dan did reach out to me, which I did not respond to. I don't personally feel it's appropriate to have one-off meetings. I have no problem if it was with the town manager and others, but it's, I think the appropriate thing is to be doing it in a forum like this, where it's out in the open and the discussions are frank and we can deal with them. As far as Jess's, I'm not sure what that time frame was, but I would like our attorney, Jay, to come up and kind of give him a little bit of why we are where we are, what we're thinking.
Thank you, Jay Tallerman, Town Council. I view this as a bit more, not so much a change as an evolution. And granted, I think the evolution came at us a little bit quickly because it was precipitated by events in and around the World Cup. But those events allowed us to kind of congeal some of the discussions that we've been having over the course of at least my short tenure as town council as to how to maybe modernize this process, how to provide a form of license that is clear to both the licensee as well as the licensor in terms of the services being provided and the expectations regarding funding of those. And so working with Mr. Ronan and as well as other folks over on in wearing a different hat in that one for Boston Soccer 26, we worked on a new license form that was specific for the World Cup. It allowed us an opportunity to kind of think about a form of a license that would make a little bit more sense, where we're laying out in more careful detail all of the special public safety and other related services that we're providing, a funding mechanism that made sense and was clear and wasn't just we bill, they pay, which isn't particularly helpful, that would have some of the kind of findings that we would have in any municipal decision, whether it's zoning or wetlands or licenses, so as to have kind of some background as to how we get from here to there. I would say 90% of this license, even though it's longer, not that length of a license has anything to do with the quality of it, it's just longer, is really the same as what we've been doing. We're just breaking out the services with more description so that, again, everyone has the benefit, including the public and the crafts and you and public safety and SEMREC and everyone else knows what they're getting for the money they're paying and what we expect of them in terms of public safety. That was really important. That's not really a change in terms of the services that they're getting, but we felt it was important to lay it all out there. Now, the precipitant for that, again, may have been the World Cup, where there was some amount of dispute as to what we could do and what we couldn't do and what we should do in terms of providing a description of it to defend the position that we were taking. Looking at that process, it became clear that we could do a better job of describing those services for the same stadium, the same size events, maybe not the same threat level that we see in around the World Cup, but very similar for these larger events where we have to capture a lot of public safety services, which in the years that we've been doing these licenses, every year gets more and more detailed and more exacting. So it really needed to evolve. The other component that is really a small section of this license, but is really important, is that we needed to capture more than just stadium event costs. For years, the town has been outlaying services that, but for the stadium, those services wouldn't exist, whether they're police or fire or Board of Health or DPW or SEMREC or otherwise. Those services only exist to serve the stadium. And that's a good thing because the stadium benefits, we benefit. In large part, the town has never received any kind of compensation for those services, which is supportable. You know, the payment for those services is supportable under the lease. So there is an effort to capture some of those fixed costs, which in addition to the usual 30-day invoice that we have for stadium event day stuff, which is unchanged for the most part from what we've done in the past, we have a monthly payment plan, so to speak, for prorated fixed cost services throughout the year so we can capture the services that otherwise taxpayers, not just of this town, but other towns, especially in the case of SEMREC, are otherwise paying. And again, those services only exist to serve the stadium. So that is the substantive change. I would say the rest of it is more of a form-based change. We feel really good about it. In fact, a lot of these provisions were fine-tuned with the help of Attorney Ronan, who was representing Boston Soccer 26, and he helped me kind of refine them and get them in better shape than they were. Here, there's not really much of a change. I doubt there can really be much of a surprise as to what this language is, because a lot of it is the same. And I did say about a month ago that this would probably be the form going forward. And so here we are with that. So that was our thinking. It wasn't just me that came up with it. I worked really closely with Paige's office, with you, Bill, with SEMREC, with DPW, with building departments, and most of all with police and fire, because they have a really, until I became town council, I had no idea. And I live in the next town over how much they do and how hard it is what they do. And so we just really wanted to capture that. So that is kind of the evolution of this newest form. It's a license, it's your license, it's not an agreement. We always hope that we can get consensus with them, but it's your license to give, and this is how we got there. We put in a lot of hours, going back to February to get to this form on where we are. Mostly we shifted those efforts from World Cup to here, which made it a little bit easier, but then we fine-tuned again to make sure we were capturing things specific as to this set of events. So that's how we got here.
And I want to add one thing, Gary, and just so that we're kind of clear. This actually goes back, I think it started with Paige maybe in the spring, it started with me in the fall, where the chiefs had a concern relative to what was being put in their budgets that was not available to the town, that the town was not, effectively being able to use those assets, if you will, because they were basically dedicated and tied up to perform the services for the stadium. I don't think anybody could argue the fact that people don't just show up on Sunday for an event. There's obviously a lot of planning on your side. There's a tremendous amount of planning on our public safety side as well that does that. And that takes manpower, and it takes other services to basically perform that. And again, that manpower is therefore not available but it's being paid for by taxpayers. The SEMREC issue is a little bit more complicated in the sense that it's, SEMREC is for 4 communities. It's basically our 911, but it's for 4 departments, 911. And again, they incorporate cost on their side the exact same way as both police and fire do on our side. But yet right now, not only Foxborough is paying for that under our budget with them, but the other 3 towns are paying for it under the budget for them. So, you know, we have to be very conscious of that, and we have to really look at that to make sure we understood what was going on. So when it was brought to our attention, and in fairness, I think this was brought to Bill Keegan's attention a number of years ago, and it was decided not to move forward with it. I don't think that was appropriate to taxpayers. I don't think it was appropriate to SEMREC, but it is what it is.
I'm going to stay out of that local politics aspect.
I don't blame you. I'd like to myself. So, but in looking at that, when we came to the whole process of renewing the lease, and as Jay basically just said, that we're looking at, we really wish we could have gotten the lease done much sooner to you, but I will say with the efforts that went into getting the FIFA lease done, it chewed up a lot of time on our side to get to a lease that we could finally, or license that we could finally agree to. And again, it was really our license that was basically being pushed out there, but it took months. And so therefore, we lost a lot of time ourselves on, and that was a 24/7 relationship. I think, I know Paige and I were Saturday nights, Sundays, Jay was on calls with us. We were trying to get everything done. We were trying to move the thing forward, and we were really running into a stone wall. So as much as I would have loved to have done this in February and early March, obviously we were all busy working on something else.
Sure.
That said, again, I feel that we are entrusted with the taxpayers' funding. I've said this since day one, whether it's FIFA or whether it's the Kraft organization. We have obviously no ill will in either one of those cases, but that's our responsibility, just as you representing Cassie is your responsibility. And so that's what this license, in our mind, basically addresses. Yes, there are going to be costs, but quite honestly, we're still, and it's taken us quite a while to get to where we are, we're still taking the time to make sure it's right, it's accurate, and it's appropriate. But that is going to be different from what you've seen in the past, where all you've paid for is the Sunday events. And not Sunday, but the given event days, if you will. And and I think is this could have happened 5 years ago if somebody was really kind of had their finger on it. But the reality is now that we do have our finger on it and we've been alerted to it, we can't just ignore it either. We can't sit back and say that it doesn't exist and that we're not spending taxpayers' money doing this, and that SEMREC isn't doing what it's doing on that side. I will say that the 3 departments have put a tremendous amount of time in to try to be accurate with this, with what they've done so far. And again, their concerns are valid. It's staffing, and it's stuff that they just don't have available to them, even though it's in their budget, and we're paying for it to do it. So, so I understand where you're coming from. I understand your concerns, but I have to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to change the town's view of what we need to do. There's obviously in the license as it's presented, doesn't have any numbers in it yet. It just gives us the right to do this. So whether it was $1 or some other number, it's just giving us the right to say, okay, these are the costs that we're incurring. And obviously we'll have to justify those costs. We know that, we understand that. That's not, we're not naive to that fact either. So I think that's where we stand as a community. That's why I don't see the need to, delay this, but I'm only one member here, and more than willing to have, another meeting to review this. But, as I said, it's not going to be where the Kraft group basically rewrites the document to a document that, suits their needs. It's got to be something that incorporates our needs.
Could I respond briefly
Absolutely.
to what you've both said? I mean, your considerations and issues you're raising are perfectly valid. I don't mean to minimize them or say that they're not. And I certainly also did not mean to suggest that there was any malintent in terms of when we got the document or anything along those lines. I know you've all been working very hard on this. I think my perspective is a couple points I think are really important. One is, FIFA and the Kraft Group really are different. FIFA is a foreign organization who's coming into town to do 7 events and then they're gone, and you don't know where they live. The Kraft's organization has been a good partner of the town's for 35 plus years. There are lots of interplay among you. There are a lot of benefits that go both ways. We certainly have always looked at the relationship, or the Kraft organization has looked at the relationship and hope that you do as well, as a relationship of partnership where we work together and we sit down at a table and we talk about things and figure out how to address things well. So certainly perfectly reasonable for the town to raise these concerns and say, hey, there are other costs that haven't been getting paid under the license or the lease, and we think they should. But our view is let's have those discussions and then figure out how to address them rather than having language kind of put in front of us and saying you're going to live with this without any discussion about is this, number one, the substantive issues. Are these particular expenses appropriate to be paid or not? And maybe at the end of the day we agree on all that, but we just haven't had the discussion yet. And then two, what exactly should the language of an event license look like to address those things? It may well be, just to give you an example, it may well be that some of this, you mentioned the lease, some of this may be better addressed under the lease rather than in an event license, which is really about public safety for events. So these are the kind of things that I think are important, that we all sit down and talk about this and then come together to a resolution that makes sense for partners. And that's the way we think this should happen, rather than just sort of, as I said, being given a, really substantially changed document saying you're going to live with this. That's not how we would like this to, how we think this should happen. And in fairness, I certainly do not mean to suggest that, we can just rewrite the license and you have to take it as we rewrite it. It should be, my view about the best way to do it is do what we did in 2019, which is we all sit down together, we work through it, and we come to a place where everybody's comfortable.
So you're going to open up the lease?
Yeah, I know.
Are you going to open up the lease? Is that what you just said? Is that the takeaway?
I did not say that.
Right.
But we can certainly have that discussion, but I certainly have no authority to commit to that.
A couple things. One, I heard that too, Paige, and we will gladly reopen the lease and renegotiate that at Gary's clear insistence to the board.
I said maybe the issue is addressed under the lease. Look,
the important part of the lease that is relevant to this discussion is that under the lease is that all public safety services that are dedicated or special to stadium events are to be paid for by the Krafts, and which is what we tried to incorporate here. But I will say this, though, that we do recognize that there's a different relationship. We sought a lot more upfront assurances from Boston Soccer 26 and FIFA in terms of payment. Here, we are relying on still the 30-day model for invoices, which from a municipal law perspective makes me a little not feeling great, because that's not really how municipalities operate. But we're respecting the long-term relationship by doing that. The stuff that we've added, also 30-day leases and spread out throughout the year. Again, we are still prepaying ourselves, the taxpayers, for a lot of these services, and we're allowing them to be spread across. That's in deference and in respect to a relationship and an entity that we can count on to do the right thing by way of the town of Foxborough. If this was another vendor and you came to me as town council and say, hey, can we pay for a whole bunch of public safety costs and maybe by the end of the year we'll get them to make it whole, I'd say you guys are crazy. No municipality would ever do that. But here we have an established relationship, so we're able to do things that we weren't comfortable doing with the FIFA license, where we didn't have an entity that we had that relationship with. So while there are some terms that may seem draconian to the Kraft Group, and while there will be some more responsibility for some of the fixed costs that we've borne, that they have not borne, despite the language of the lease, it's still a very much a trust factor in here, and that remains unchanged. And I think that that goes a long way to credit them for being good partners over the years and allowing us to trust them to do the right thing as we outlay a ton of services that exist, again, only to help their events go smoothly and safely. So I do think we're capturing exactly the essence of that relationship in this version. And we were very conscious, all of us, when we were going through it, about making sure that we did capture that component of it.
I would say then, I appreciate what you're saying, but why not give us a chance to sit down with you and talk about the language to make sure it works? I'll give you another example. There's a provision in here, this is apart from the financing, but it says people are going to have to show, there's going to be a requirement in the license that people show tickets to get into the parking lot. Now, it's generally a requirement that you have to be a ticketed patron to go into the parking lots, but if you require people to pull out a ticket before they can turn into the parking lot, you're going to have bad traffic on Route 1. That's something that my understanding is that used to happen, no longer happening because it was problematic. That's in this draft. So that's another example of things.
That's existing requirement.
But it's also at the option of the police chief.
That's not what the current language says.
Well,
so this is an example of why we need to sit down and go through the language carefully and not just say, here it is, you need to live with it. We think we're all going to end up better off if we hit the pause button on this new language and reasonably go through it to make sure all the town's very legitimate concerns are addressed in an appropriate way.
Why, Gary, would this take months to do?
Because everything takes months to do. It doesn't necessarily have to take months. I mean, I understand, you want to get it moving. That's totally fair. I mean, so what if you do a 2 or 3 month new event license to cover the events through June or July, and then that gives us that period of time to resolve this? What's the harm? Isn't that the better way to handle this? Because it makes sure we end up in a good spot that doesn't have these sorts of problems that I think are lurking in the current language that we haven't had a chance to weigh in on.
Not crazy about that, about the idea of having 70 whatever events out there not licensed. I think that's should be a concern for them as well as ours. I really don't think that time is going to change much. I think that's up to the board. I'm not a big fan of going that route. I do think, and I think Chief Grace would say, that the policy with respect to ticketed patrons is something that we put out to all the licensed parking lots. So I don't think that that's particularly novel. It's also incredibly safe, and it's something that can't be much of a surprise because we've already gone through this exact same thing with the immediately prior license that we issued with respect to ticketing, where we provided ample notice as to that kind of policy moving forward. So I mean, that's just one instance. Again, most of these terms are very similar to things that Gary and I already negotiated, so I do bristle a little bit to suggest that there's been no opportunity to discuss this. Also, I mean, Gary and I know each other from the FIFA stuff. This was out there a week ago. 75 to 80% of the terms in here are exactly things that he's already seen, that he's actually worked on with me. I don't think there's any reason why that couldn't have happened. That being said, the board should take its time if it needs to. I think this license is a license that's ready for prime time. Whatever time you need to make it happen, you have a lot of discretion here. It's your license, it's your process. We have licensed events coming up in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So time is definitely of the essence.
Well, I got a couple of thoughts. You talked about, the relationship we've had with the Kraft group. Yet at the same time, as a townsperson, I was very distraught about the fact that it took almost 4 months to come to an agreement, with the FIFA licensing. And also as a townsperson, the costs the town incurred, the tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees that we incurred to try to come up with that document. It surprises me that someone in the Kraft group didn't call Paige one day and say, "Don't worry, we got you back." It took 3.5 months, and only 3 days before the deadline did that happen, that we got you back. So, and through that 4-month process, 3.5 months process, you know, a lease agreement did come through that, I think, from what you said in the beginning, didn't change much from the 4 months that we originally discussed it. You know, that this was our town's needs to make sure that we were comfortable issuing this license to FIFA. So, you know, I think, yes, over the years, we have had a great relationship, but there were times where some of that relationship was strained. And I think ultimately it was the town that lifted that burden. Going back years ago, I was on the board when we switched up that license. And a lot of it had to do with poor Jess coming in every week. And making presentations every week, and that we got to come up with a better way.
It's one of the big reasons we did it. It takes up all your time dealing with these.
Well, both our times, you know, certainly. But it's evolved. You know, what's been going up there has evolved. You know, 74 events is a lot of events up there. And that's a lot different than, when did we change this? 2018?
It was 2019, but then the pandemic kind of threw. I think the first year we operated under it was 2021.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Even in the last 7 years, a lot more events have been added on, and putting that much more stress on our public safety and on our town. So I think coming up with a license that has evolved over the last 8 years, it was time, from my point of view.
Yep.
Yep.
The relationship with the Crafts is a special one. Is the Crafts do well, Foxboro does well. I agree with lots of what's in the new license agreement, but I don't find it to be a unreasonable request to ask for a conversation. If we could do an extension of the current lease, I don't even know if that's possible, and still come back and meet with whom you feel you need to, Paige, Bill, other stakeholders. I don't think will be hurtful. I think it would be helpful. And that is how I have felt about this since I've seen it. It's a lot. And I know it came out late because of other reasons, but it's been worked on. And again, I don't disagree with the lease, but you're asking for a conversation, I think, is only fair.
So I'm going to be honest, I came in here and I was like, this is what we need to do for our town and our people and to protect ourselves. I kind of am in the middle where I kind of have some of the things that you guys have said and I agree with. And I also agree that having a conversation is not unreasonable. But not waiting weeks or months to have something in hand is also not reasonable either. So I don't know if there's a way to meet in the middle.
A mechanism to meet in the middle without losing lots of time.
So, our next meeting is the 28th. We have problems with that because of members not being available for that one. We do, or have checked to see if people have time on this Friday for a special meeting, which would be a follow-up. So I guess the question, Gary, is, again, you've had it now for a week. I assume you've probably written a lot on it in normal legalese as to what your theories are on issues. Is there any reason that we can't address it before Friday, and then we could meet again on Friday?
We can certainly try to do that. I'm not the optimistic one. That was my colleague who was here before. So, you know, I think we may end up needing more time, but we can certainly give it a shot. In terms of, we did think about the extension as an idea as well. An extension of the current license actually doesn't work, I believe, because one of the licensing statutes says that any annual license has to end by the end of the calendar year. We did a special act of the legislature in 2019 to change it so that it says any annual license at Gillette Stadium can go for a year from when it's issued. So the current license expires, I think it's April 24th.
Oh, April
So we
4th.
can't actually extend the current license, but you could, this is what I was getting at with sort of the idea of a 4, 3, 2 month, whatever it is, new license that would cover just the events over the next 2 months or something, and then that gives us the time to do that.
But if that was something the chiefs weren't comfortable with, having unlicensed events, then certainly I wouldn't approve of that kind of
Well,
extension.
one thing we could do, I mean, again, I'm not a super fan here of a temporary license, but if you were going to go with a license to hold down the fort, and we could discuss this on Friday, if you choose to continue, is I would go with this license as a temporary license, not the old one. I don't think the old one is protective of the taxpayers
No.
at all. I
No,
would say
I-
this one would be the one we would do. We would have to maybe change the terms to make sure that some of those fixed costs are reflected in the temporary nature of the license, but the basic form of it would be okay. Again, not a super fan of it, but it's feasible, but I would highly recommend going with the new form rather than the old form if you ended up going on a temporary basis, because I know we have quorum issues, we have an intervening town meeting, they have events. This time of year is really difficult from a municipal scheduling perspective, so trying to just keep it all together, that would be my recommendation if we needed to do that. Now, we may not need to, because the board by Friday may feel more comfortable with whatever form. If Gary has some suggested changes, I'm happy to look at them. I don't expect at the end of the day that substantively this thing's going to change that much.
No.
So, but I don't know, I don't mind, and as I've said on a number of occasions to the Kraft group, that we're all ears, just let us know what you got, so.
So my recommendation is that we push for a Friday. Hopefully we can get things resolved over the next 3 days. And obviously we'll take whatever efforts you need us to do that, to be able to meet with your people. And then, hopefully be able to resolve it Friday. And that way we stay within the current lease and the licensing as far as the events.
It is a public hearing too, if anybody from the public needs to speak.
Yeah, I know, I'm just.
Oh, okay, just before we
Right,
close
right.
that.
So all 4 members are available for Friday?
Yes.
You're not available today?
So 12:15. 12:15 on Friday, I'll post for.
Okay.
See if we can get Steph, so we have at least 4 of us would be nice.
It's a simple
Is it something you could zoom into, or you're?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Sorry
quorum
about
and
that,
for
but no.
the voting. And technically,
We still have a quorum at 3.
Yes, yeah, but just.
Oh, I totally agree.
Okay.
You could lose.
Anybody from the public have any comments that they would like to add?
The Friday meeting will be posted public meeting?
Yes, yeah. Okay. So do we do a motion to continue then?
Move to close the public hearing.
Okay.
Well,
sorry.
move to continue it to the 12:15
Oh,
on
you
Friday.
better, yeah.
Unless are you going to take public comment tonight, or?
We just asked.
Just
nobody-
did tonight.
Okay, there was
But-
okay. Yeah, so a motion to continue the hearing until Friday, 12:15.
Yeah.
We don't need to close the public hearing?
No,
at this
no,
point?
no,
you
we're
can't
keeping it
close it.
open.
Can't close it, okay.
So motion to,
Continue the
Continue.
public.
motion to continue the public meeting until Friday, April 17th at 12:15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Des.
Thank you all very
Appreciate
much.
it. Thank you, George, and everybody else. Okay, next up. $119.
What do you need, Chief Grace?
Excuse me?
He seems to want, you want for this topic?
Yeah.
Or do you want to talk about it? Chief Grace, you want to come talk about Fat Tuesday? Anything to say? Do you want to set the stage, Katie? You kind of know the situation.
So just bringing this to the board's attention, 190 Octane Patriot Place LLC, DBA Fat Tuesday at 266 Patriot Place. They are currently operating without a manager of record. They had an application submitted to the board December of 2025, but did withdraw the application as the individual was no longer with the company. And I brought it to Chief Grace's attention, town council, so we wanted to just set the stage for a discussion with the board. We would have to have a public hearing, which we could set for the 28th, should they not bring a change of manager application to the board for review.
So let me ask this question, Chief. If they don't have a current manager of record, how do they have a valid liquor license?
Well, they're in violation, so then we have to start the revocation process, and I think town council can discuss how that operates. Unfortunately, we're just not able to just take it today.
Okay.
Yeah, that's accurate. When Katie and I spoke about it, I said, we got to move on this a little bit. And so I hear that they may have come around and may be submitting an application for a change of manager, which would be a really good thing. But I think in the interim, we should be prepared to get that scheduled for your meeting on the 28th to have a hearing on a potential suspension or revocation.
So we would potentially have a footnote to have a meeting with them bringing something forward, and then we'd have one on the same meeting to revoke if they don't.
Right. I mean, I think we'll be in, Katie's already in discussions or contact with them, so hopefully we hear something from them soon. We do have kind of we decided 7 days. So the clock is ticking on when we'd have to get that notice out if we're going to go to a full-blown hearing on a revocation.
Okay.
Basically before Friday, you're out as of Friday, so it has to
So
be.
Thursday.
Thursday is their deadline. Otherwise, it's not getting advertised.
Okay.
I wouldn't have to advertise it, I would just have to send it.
Oh,
But
you
yeah,
need
I
to
would send
send
it
it, okay.
Thursday, just in advance of.
Okay. And as far as them coming in, if they do come in with a manager, that doesn't have to have any special notice, that's just them.
Right, but I would send it to Chief Grace and his team to do a proper review of the.
Yeah, still got to be a suitable person, yeah.
Right.
And there's nothing we could do retro
No.
for them not having a
No.
manager of record, no fine or anything like that.
No, aside from giving them a stern talking to, so it's such that this doesn't happen again, no.
All right. I guess that's the route we take.
That's as fast as we can go right now.
Yep, that's fine. That's fine, as long as we're all covered. Memorandum of agreement, Public Works.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys,
So you
appreciate
have
it.
this too?
Mike has the official one, you're just gonna sign already.
Oh, okay.
Do we have to approve it?
They have to do a motion in public
Yeah.
session?
Okay. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between the town of Foxborough and the Foxborough Foxborough Department of Public Works Employees Union, AFSCME, Local 1702, Unit B, Water and Sewer.
Second.
Just before we vote on it, so that, I'm sorry, taxpayers know what we're doing here. There was a clause in the agreement initially that gave one employee who was designated a stipend of $1 and the backup getting a stipend of 50 cents. The union employees have agreed to the fact that they would go with both getting the 75 cents and splitting it so that it was fair to both employees. They're doing the same thing. They have the same credentialing. And so that's basically what this has done. It was an amicable agreement on their side to basically treat each other the same. So, and it doesn't change what the town's liability or cost is. So So we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you very much. Town manager's update.
No, meeting warrant.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, meeting
skip
warrant.
one.
Yep. Do we need to discuss anything? Okay, motion to approve the 2026 annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No
Now,
question.
I have the Mary Poppins
Yep.
bag. You asked me.
Town managers? Okay, so the exciting news that I think people now know is that Zip Trip is coming to Foxborough. They're starting off their season in Foxborough on April 24th. So that will be on the Common. Katie's been working on some exciting production elements, TBD, so you'll have to check it out. But yeah, so
A lot of fun.
come to the Common for Zip Trip on the morning of Friday, April 24th.
For the ignorant of Zip Trip, what is Zip Trip? I have no
They were
idea.
here before.
Like 10 or 15 years
Up on the Common.
No, it's okay.
No.
Oh, that's okay, Joe, we're all set. We got it.
It's
May 30th, 2014.
So it's when they come to town and they report all morning. The Fox 25 News will be on site all morning, and they'll talk, they're interviewing me at 9 a.m., and they're, different people will come through, and it creates a buzz for uptown Foxborough, so it'll be good.
It's a lot of fun.
And obviously, any of you are welcome to go up there.
Of course, if you want to get
Unfortunately, I'm
interviewed,
out
you
of
feel
town that,
free.
And so is Stephanie, so,
Just walk to work.
yeah.
Were you here, Paige, when they came before? I
No.
can't-
No, it was a lot of fun.
The Common was packed. There was kids,
Was it?
adults,
Okay.
carriages, grandmothers, dogs, everything.
And it's during April vacation, which is even more
Oh,
fun.
yeah,
So you're
that
gonna
was a
see
school
lot
day
more
before.
Out of
kids
school.
and
Oh, that'll be
stuff.
great.
Yeah.
More exciting news, we have an update on minimum purchase age compliance checks. Foxborough Police Department and the Massachusetts ABCC report that all local liquor establishments passed their recent underage purchase compliance
That's
checks
amazing.
with no violations. So congratulations to our Foxborough businesses. Last night, I attended the Rotary Club's meeting, and on next Tuesday night, I'll be at the Lions Club. So it's helpful to go out there and chat with folks and give updates, and everybody has questions, so it was really helpful. As mentioned earlier, feels like yesterday, but earlier in tonight's meeting, we have 2 listening sessions tomorrow. One's at noon at the community center, and one is at 6 p.m., so I would encourage residents to attend. We have town meeting, warrant review is on Monday, April 27th at noon, and that'll be broadcast on cable. And then annual town meeting is Monday, May 11th, and don't forget that the annual election is May 4th. World Cup update, a new addition that Katie's added to my reminders is that there'll be no commercial parking licenses available. The Select Board has determined that there is sufficient parking for Gillette events moving forward in general, and that short-term rentals are prohibited by zoning in Foxborough, as is selling of parking spaces.
Paige, I have a question. The news today is reporting no tailgating. Is that a state, town, event-driven mandate?
No, that came from FIFA, and our chiefs weren't aware of it, so they're going to communicate with FIFA, because they have to clarify whether it's, the FIFA controls the stadium properties, so I believe they can say no tailgating if they want, but the question has come from the satellite parking lots, so the 2 chiefs were working on that and trying to figure out exactly what we're going to do in town, because it was, right, Katie, it was news to them?
Yeah, they were
Wow.
not notified, so they're coming up with language to then
To figure out.
notify
Yeah.
commercial lot holders.
Yeah.
How do they plan to stop it?
Drones.
Or does it only pertain to the stadium property, not
Well, that's
the
what we don't-
satellite?
Yeah.
But even still, how are you going to stop somebody from opening up the tailgate and taking out a cooler?
No.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely not.
We have 6 jobs advertised: the chief assessor, apprentice mechanic, library department administrator, water tech 1, tree and parks division labor and driver, and a council on aging substitute van driver. And that's the end of my report.
Anybody on the board have anything?
I actually have a
Amy?
couple things. One, today is Paige's birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
2, the pinning for the fire department is this Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
I'll be
I'll be there.
attending.
I'll be there.
And I don't know who else. And the other thing, I was at the community center and I saw a flyer for burning questions.
Oh, have you not heard about that yet?
I'm so excited about this. It's they're eating wings And it's Paige and Chief Grace and a bunch
I think
of...
it's Katie,
I'm here.
me, Chief Grace, Chief Kelleher, I think Mike Mullen, Michelle Hamilton. We all have to, and none of us like hot stuff. None of us like, I don't even want wings. But we went, Mark and I went to when we went to MMA this year, they did that session, and it was a huge hit, and it was hilarious. So Mark's gonna run it where they ask us questions, and we have to...
Foxborough questions.
Foxborough questions, and we have to eat hot wings. It's gonna be awful. So...
When is this? I don't wanna
March
miss it.
20th, I mean, May 20th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe at 4, I don't know.
It's at 4 o'clock
Yeah.
at the community center.
At the community, so people are gonna wanna watch, because it's gonna be awful. We're all,
gonna be
none of us
awesome.
like hot. I don't know. The things we do for our community to
I know,
make
I think
everybody
it's
laugh.
amazing.
So, yeah.
And also, the seniors are doing a
Into the
play,
Woods? Yes.
Into the Woods, this weekend at the community center. I'm going to go to that too. I'm really excited to see what...
Joe Sanders was wearing
I know,
his
he
costume.
left.
Yeah.
I was wondering if he got a new job.
Yeah, no, yeah, he did.
Did he become a short order cook? Yeah.
I went to the cleanup day, and as Joe shared with us, it was a great success. AJ and the community sponsors do such a great job, as well as all the kids and parents who are out there cleaning. And Joe, of course, always does a nice job. But in addition to that, right after it, back to back, was the opening day parade for baseball and softball. And that's always just a great day.
Yeah, the pictures were great.
Yeah, it was a fun day. So Foxborough showed its true colors on Saturday.
It looked like a lot of baseball kids were holding bags of trash. Like
Yeah,
they
some of
kinda
them
did-
were.
Yeah.
That's all.
Doc?
No, I'm good.
Good. Action items?
Okay, motion to confirm the commercial parking per spot annual fee of $10 per spot for non-charity lots and $3.50 per spot for charity lots for FY '27.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to award the disposition of real property located at 75 Central Street pursuant to the RFP process.
Second for discussion.
Yes.
What the heck was that all about?
I wish Jay had stayed.
No, I mean, I don't think there's any, I could text.
I can't find anything that refers to us on a piece of property that we own, that we have.
Is there a silo site underneath that? Or?
No, so, my only concern is if he did file something with the state, does
Yeah.
that create a complication for us if we move forward?
So, I mean, we could move to delay it till the 28th?
Yeah.
I mean,
I could move it, I could wait and move it to the 21st. I'm to the 17th.
Brandon, are we under any tight time frame? Do we have any
To the
deadlines?
Friday.
Huh?
I can move it to Friday if you want.
Next meeting to award.
We have until the next meeting to award the...
always follow up with the proposer and see if they will hold their price for the.
How about if we just move it to Friday and we
Yeah.
get,
And see if
And
Jay
tell-
will look
just-
into that.
just
Because I
that.
don't think he was listening. I think
Yeah, I
Jay
don't
was
think he
on his
was.
phone.
Yeah.
yeah,
I gave
I
him the
wanted to
handout,
throw
but he...
something at him,
I know.
yeah.
so,
Like I said, I can't, I've never
Right.
seen anything that we would refer to this as to one of our pieces of property.
Right.
So, but let's have Jay weigh in, and then we'll just make that as a quick item on Friday.
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Motion to approve 15 one-day beer and wine license applications for a tapped beer truck to host an event at Normandy Farms Campground, 72 West Street on May 23rd, June 25th, July 2nd, July 9th, 16th, 23rd, 30th, 16th, 13th, 20th, 27th, September 5th, October 17th, 24th, 31st, 2026, from 1 to 10.
11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Oh, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. I apologize.
Second.
So,
I have a discussion.
okay, go ahead.
We've been giving a lot of one-day licenses to them. Does it go per truck or per day at, like, who is it under?
So this is TAP, so it's two different, it's basically the the
Runs
entity
with the
that's
truck?
applying, it runs with the truck or runs with the person, and then it's
Okay.
by, like, if it's by the truck, then they can only have 30 per person, and then it has to move to a different
So they
manager
could
of
have
record.
7 trucks, 1 per day, every day of the week for the whole summer, basically.
Yes, but it's on private property, so
That can
Normandy
happen.
Farms has to approve it first.
Okay.
And how does that deal with the licenses that we have available? That's,
It's an unlimited amount on 1 days. There's no cap on that.
so can I have 365 days?
If you had 100 different,
Right, and up to
Trucks.
Chief Grace's discretion too.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Okay. Okay. Motion to approve a change of hours application for SV Patriot Place LLC doing business as Splitsville Hollow at the Moon located at 220 Patriot Place to serve alcohol starting at 10 a.m. on Sundays.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the donation from Lakeview Pavilion Foundation in the amount of $2,900 to the Boyden Library to be used for museum passes with gratitude.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Excuse me, just one thing. So I have a mistake. So I think we have to skip this one. I can move it to Friday. I have April 14th. That's actually today. I'm supposed to have the 31st.
Oh.
So I
we
Oh,
can do it, we
okay.
can do it Friday.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second,
Aye.
Aye.
Wait a second. You actually had, though,
I know I have the correct minutes attached, but I put the wrong.
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Sorry.
If you want. All right, second approved. And the motion adjourned, is that what we were just saying?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a
Night.
good night.
Night.
Good night.